When there's a ton of incredible games that I have not gotten the chance to play, you know it's been a great year for video games. There were so many quality titles that I could probably make a second top 10 list for and still have to make tons of tough cuts. That means the games I'm talking about today, the 10 games that I have chosen, have affected me personally. The only rules I really have for this list are that it has to have been released in 2022, no remakes are on this list, and I have to at the very least play the game to their credits. So if there's something you think that should be in here and it isn't, it's probably because I haven't had the chance to fully give it my time. So shout them out in the comments down below and I'll do my best to enjoy them in the near future. With that said, here are my top 10 favorite games from 2022.
Number 10.
You know, a lot of people accuse me of showing favoritism, saying that if there's ever a Mario game or something from Yacht Club Games ever released, I'm just going to automatically love it. And you know what? You all know me pretty well. Born out of a partnership between Yacht Club Games and Nitrome, Shovel Knight Dig serves as a prequel to the original Shovel Knight game. After getting his bag of treasure stolen by Drill Knight, Shovel Knight dives into action to get it back with the help of Shield Knight and her pet owl Altius. What results is the same tight controls that have come with every other Shovel Knight game with a roguelike twist. It looks great with some incredible pixel art, fun power-ups, and lots of unique gimmicks for every world you dig through. Shovel Knight Dig is a perfect game to pick up and play whenever you can. It may not have the depth of some other roguelikes out there, pun intended, but it's a great introduction to the genre and a fun time overall. For more information on it, you can check out my video on it, but as a warning, I did have some problems because it does suffer from that early launch day cycle. They have patched the game a ton since its release, but just go in there with an open heart and an open mind.
Number 9.
2022 was a massive year for Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie, was awesome. Sonic Origins came out to remind us why we fell in love with the blue blur in the first place, despite its problems. And the brand new Sonic Prime Netflix series just came out. But for me, the highlight was easily the newest game in the Sonic Pantheon, Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Frontiers placed our hero into a sandbox structure far different from what we've seen before. Most islands felt unique and new, while staples like grind rails and boost pads felt like they belonged there. And this open zone format was an absolute blast to explore. And what surprised me personally the most was how deep the story was. Not only did we see the development of existing relationships, but we saw sides to characters we haven't even seen before. Who knew that I've always wanted to see Eggman as a father-type figure? Because now that I have, it works. Hell, I even love Big the Cat in this game. This genuinely feels like the biggest step forward for Sonic as a franchise since Sonic Adventure. Sonic Frontiers is the perfect starting off point for what one of the directors at Sega calls the third generation of Sonic. I can't wait to see where it goes from here, and hey, if you want, you can check out my video on Sonic Frontiers as well. Spoilers are everywhere though. Enjoy!
Number 8.
With Horizon Zero Dawn, Guerrilla Games established another powerhouse IP in Sony's exclusive collection. Great enemy designs combined with gorgeous environments and a wonderful lead character made Horizon Zero Dawn a surprise hit, and that quality continues here with its sequel. Horizon Forbidden West is a lot like the machines you battle in the game. It's exciting, wild, and awe-inspiring. The excellent combat from the first game has been tightened and improved with new skill trees and weapons, and you can really build an Aloy that works for you. The map is also much bigger and more breathtaking than ever. Even though this world is dying, it feels so alive, lush, and lived in. The game may be massive, but it's easier to navigate, and the characters make the story feel so much more important and personal. Special shout out to Ashley Birch for absolutely killing it as Aloy, and we now have another iconic badass in the PlayStation library because of you. If the completion process wasn't so unrewarding and buggy, then this game would probably be much higher on this list. But even then, Horizon Forbidden West is an enthralling game that every PlayStation owner needs to experience at some point. And hey, if you don't want to experience it but you want to see someone else do it, you can watch my video on it right here. Enjoy.
Number 7.
Whenever a Kirby game is released, people pretty much know what to expect. Kirby sucking his way through a sweet and simple adventure that takes a shockingly dark turn at the end. And although a lot of that remains true for Kirby in the Forgotten Land, it also takes everything even further. Instead of Dreamland, Kirby finds himself in a Forgotten Land not too different from our own. Here, Kirby can still absorb enemies and take their powers, but he can also do it with everyday objects like cars and light bulbs, resulting in new powers and even platforming abilities. But the most exciting part for me was Waddle Dee Town. Not only did this serve as a great way to keep track of completion progress, but also grants access to a ton of incredible post-game content. A coliseum, a difficult alternate world, and tons of helpful items and ability upgrades are all waiting for you to enjoy. Kirby in the Forgotten Land is just one of those games that keeps you smiling the entire time you're playing it. It blew my expectations out of the water and made for one of the best completion experiences on the Nintendo Switch this year. And hey, if you want to check out my video, it's starting to sound a little familiar, huh? Here you go. I think I should mention that I've completed most of the games on this list.
Number 6.
I love me a good dungeon crawler. There's nothing quite like taking multiple expeditions into various dungeons in order to perfect a single class. So when a game gives me a chance to do that, but while mastering multiple classes like bodybuilder, horse, robot, and slug, you know I'm gonna love it. Nobody Saves the World from Drinkbox Games, the same team behind Guacamelee, is a dungeon crawler that is driven by your character's job or class instead of the loot they find. You can change your class on the fly in order to take full advantage of what you found. This takes out a lot of the tedious grinding that most dungeon crawlers are known for and makes Nobody Saves the World immediately fulfilling. That immediacy is helped by the multiplayer. Yes, the difficulty spikes for sure, but the game auto levels everyone in the room to the host's level. And then you get to just have fun times with your buds. Dungeon crawling with friends is always a good time. Nobody Saves the World is a dope little game. Our hero may be a nobody, but this game means a lot to somebody. Me, I'm that somebody. I'm somebody. Somebody who also completed this game and you can watch my video on.
Number 5.
Sometimes an idea is so silly and stupid that it has to work, and that was definitely the case with Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Take Mario characters, team them up with Rayman's Rabbids, and have them in an XCOM-esque strategy game? This should not have worked, but it did. And it shows that it was not a fluke because Sparks of Hope was even better. Mario plus Rabbids Spark of Hope doesn't simply rest in just adding more to a sequel, but instead challenges some long-standing traditions of the genre. Battles happen more often, but they're easier to notice and aren't restricted to a grid, resulting in increased strategy. The music, by my good buddy Grant Kirkhope, the incredible Yoko Shimomura, and Ori and the Blind Forest composer Gareth Cocker, is even more epic than before. Even the story is grander, with the whole galaxy being threatened by a being named Cursa. The biggest addition is easily the Sparks. These are abilities that you can equip for a battle in order to give your party a major boost. This replaces a lot of character-specific abilities from Kingdom Battle, but makes it so that you can have a lot more freedom with your party builds. Most importantly, Sparks of Hope came out in a moment of my life when I really needed it. I was really just struggling and depressed, and the Mario plus Rabbids crew put a huge smile on my face. Because of that, completing Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope remains one of my personal highlights of the year.
Number 4.
I love the Turtles. This single fact has been a constant in my life for as long as I can remember. All you need to do is watch any of my videos about their incredible games to know that, the whole one or two. So it is with supreme joy that I can say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is really f***ing good. Shredder's Revenge is a beat-em-up game that I've been wanting since Turtles in Time. Not only is gameplay snappy, responsive, and varied, but it brings in characters that I've always wanted to play as. Casey Jones, April O'Neil, and Splinter? Shell yes! But the thing that makes this really stand out is the multiplayer. Not only can a total of 6 people at once be playing, but it can be done online, and people can join in or out at any time. It really gives that feeling of playing a classic Turtles game at the arcade on a more modern platform. Add on some of the most smoothest pixel art I've seen in quite some time, and my new favorite soundtrack of the year, sorry Grant, shoutouts to T. Lopes, the boy, and you have the makings for the perfect sleepover game, whether they're at your house or not. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is a necessary game, not just for TMNT fans, but for fans of all ages.
Number 3.
Normally, graphics are not the most important thing to me at all, but 2022 featured some of the most AAA games that pushed consoles and PCs to their graphical limits. So it may come as a surprise to you that the game I've played the most this year looks like this: Vampire Survivors. I cannot stress the name enough. Vampire Survivors should be my game of the year. In fact, it has been my game of the year secretly throughout the whole year. I kept telling myself, Vampire Survivors, #1, Vampire Survivors, #1. I made a bunch of content about it on G4. I talk about it a lot on Twitter. I tell my other YouTube friends. Thanks to my podcast, FPS, I literally have been infected with the Vampire Survivors virus, if you will. Vampire Survivors is not the prettiest game by any means, but I have been glued to it nonstop for well over 500 hours plus. This bullet hell roguelike survival game, whatever you want to call it, only lasts in about 15 to 30 minute bursts at a time. But that just means it's the perfect length to keep me coming back for more. Games like Horizon Forbidden West are delicious 60-hour meals. But Vampire Survivors is that snack food that I can't stop grabbing handfuls of, and it is damn tasty. Vampire Survivors is also a loving tribute to games like Castlevania, featuring gothic imagery and items like floor chicken. And yet, there isn't a single vampire in the entire game. Very funny stuff. Vampire Survivors has a massive cast of characters to choose from as you unlock them. Now, in the beginning, people are going to say, why is this game so special? I don't understand it. This game is about synergy. It's about being heartbroken by being bad at the game in the beginning and then slowly getting better, unlocking more items, more synergies. Vampire Survivors is a game that knows exactly what it is and it excels at it. I love this game so much that right now I have improvised most of this particular section of script because I am playing the game on my Steam Deck while recording this voiceover. So take that as an endorsement and go play Vampire Survivors. The only reason why I haven't completed the damn game is because literally when the game came out on its final 1.0 release, the developers decided to put in a checklist on every single stage that every single character has cleared. I have my favorite characters like Trouser or Pugnala, but now I have to play every single stage with every single character. The math adds up, and someday I will complete this game officially. But in the meantime, this game is $5 on Steam. You can play it for free on Game Pass or mobile, and TLC just came out only a couple of weeks ago. I promise you, you will love Vampire Survivors.
#2.
What is there to say about Elden Ring that has not been said already across the internet? Like every Soulsborne game, Elden Ring throws you into the deep end right away, and it can be overwhelming, especially with all the drummed up hype around this juggernaut of a game, breaking the From Software familiar linear mold in favor of a jaw-droppingly large open world. And the more I ventured into the lands between, the more I loved it, and I made that land mine. Literally, anywhere I went, I found myself tripping over a new boss, location, loot, craftables, or some remarkably nuanced piece of lore. It seemed like every 2 feet there was a new dungeon filled with a grotesque monstrosity waiting for me, like a god-skinned apostle, or a bear. There were mesmerizing characters like Blade, or Fia, or the Turtle Pope. The more I explored, the more I found. Elden Ring is a masterclass in indirect storytelling. Once I got used to the controls and began to find the perfect build for me, I was hooked. And the best part, my experience is completely different from everyone else's. Unless you're following a guide, the journey you go on will be unique to you. And that's really special when a game is able to do that. I know a lot of folks have been waiting patiently for my Elden Ring video, and trust me, I'm gonna be making one probably around the 1-year anniversary of the game. The reason why I've waited so long is because I've just been excited to see everyone talk about this game so much that I've been trying to craft my own perspective. It's really hard to make a video about a highly anticipated game that has come and gone, that everyone keeps talking about, and yet I myself can't find anything new to contribute. I thought about adding challenges or my own completionist twist on it, and truth be told, the more I play it and the more I sit with it, the more I learn more about myself and what I love about this game. But I still haven't found my unique spin yet. So give me time, it'll come soon. Elden Ring took the Soulsborne formula and made it accessible to a wider range of people, not only making it From Software's most successful game, but the most talked about game of 2022. And it honestly deserves it. Okay, I'm a human being with a finite amount of time upon this earth. I definitely miss fully playing through so many great games. That said, the games I'm about to talk about did leave an impression with me in the limited time I got to play them. So, right here, right now, I want to give some rapid-fire honorable mentions that should have made this list. In Cult of the Lamb, you're a cute little lamb that is sacrificed and then possessed by the one who waits. That means it's time to start a cult and build your influence. It's a great combo of the management and roguelike genres that was perfect for streaming, since your Twitch followers could actually become members of the cult. So within that, that's pretty rad. I love me a good beat 'em up, and Sifu definitely fit that bill. Satisfying combat, a great look, and that awesome resurrection gimmick made for a totally unique experience. But hey, Game Awards people, it's not a fighting game. Come on. The indie train kept a rollin' with Tunic, an adventure game that has classic 2D Zelda vibes with just a dash of Dark Souls sprinkled in. It's enjoyably nostalgic without feeling outdated by any means. Well done, Andrew Schuldice, Finji, and everyone else. I cannot wait to see what comes next. Splatoon 3 took the same multiplayer splatfest from the last two games and plugged them with three-way battles, a bigger story, and a more lively hub world, easily serving as the best cooperative gameplay experience Nintendo has served up. Speaking of multiplayer, both The Evil Dead and Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed did kind of the same thing. Take popular 80s franchises and make them into fun multiplayer experiences. Both of these games were not on my radar at all, but after getting to talk to the devs and the people who made these games, I kind of fell in love with them. I mean, kind of a rad thing, I got to interview Bruce Campbell, which, hey, that's a cool thing I did in 2022. And that's only just some of the games that I wanted to talk about. There is so much more, and this list would just go on and on. But without further ado, here's my number one.
Number 1!
Santa Monica Studios shook me when they released their reimagining of God of War. The epic tale of Kratos and his son Atreus was surprisingly heartfelt, and the completion process was one that was maybe one of the most satisfying I've ever experienced in my life. We all knew a sequel was coming, and the expectations were very high. And when God of War Ragnarok released, it did not meet those expectations. It exceeded them tenfold. Incredibly, Ragnarok continues the tale of God of War with heightened stakes while also emphasizing the more personal, emotional elements. Whenever a character died, no matter how small, I felt it. This is due in large part to the incredible performances, but also because of the smallest details in animation and the score, which support epic battles and even the quieter moments as well. This game at times can be a serious challenge. However, it never feels unfair. I completed the game twice, once on Give Me No Mercy and another on Give Me God of War. Give Me God of War was punishing and brutal, but I was able to constantly learn, adapt, and find the build that best suited me as a player. I knew I had to work to get better, but it never felt like work. A shocking amount of games fail at doing that. Sometimes picking the best game is easy. Other years, it's exceptionally tough. And 2022 was a tough year. But when it came down to it, Kratos once again stood tall for me, having conquered so many, but also having grown so much over the course of his and the player's journey. Thus, God of War Ragnarok is my favorite game of 2022. And that's that. Thanks again for sticking around with me. We've had some rocky seas last year, and a captain is only as good as his crew. So as your captain, throw down your favorite games of 2022 in the comments down below. Have a happy new year. I'm talking like a pirate now, and I'll see you next week for the worst games of 2022. Yarr.